My name is Ross Parker, doing the Week-7 coding challenge for Promino. This week, we were tasked to do answer 13 questions, basically print the codes to questions they had provided. It's basically covering the first 7 weeks of work of what we've done and what we've learned. I'll go ahead and get into it since there's a bunch to, read with very little time. So here we are, created an array called ages and perform subtraction. So here we are creating the array ages and we are subtracting the value of the first element. We then need to add a new age to the array. So we're using the push method. That's what will add a new age. Push is used for multiple adding things. Then here we are performing a subtraction again. Last index age dot length -1. The age dot length -1 is what's going to subtract for you. And then here we're going to calculate the average age using a loop. And then we're going to print the average age to the console to get the average age. Question number 2, create an array called names that contains the following values, and it's provided a list of names. Use a loop to iterate through the array called average number of letters of name. Use a loop to iterate through the array again to concatenate all the names together separated by spaces. So here we are creating the array called names. We have the provided names. We're iterating through the array to get the total letters per name. Calculating the average by dividing. Here's the divider, total letter of names, and then we'll console.log and get the average letters per name. Concatenate all the names together and separate it by spaces. And that's what this here would do for you. And then we're just going to print that to concatenate. Here, I was unsure if we were supposed to do a problem. It was just how do you access the last element of an array? It didn't give us one to print out. So what I did, the answer is the length -1 or a pop method. Either one of them could work. Usually I used length -1. On occasion, I'll use the pop method. Here's the same thing. Another question. It didn't say we had to code anything, so I just gave an answer for it. How do you access the last element of an array? Uh, oh, I just did that one. How do you access the first element of an array? Well, the first element is always starting at 0. So if your first number is 1, it's actually 0. So the array 0 is what's going to give you that. Question number 5, create an array called names length. Write a loop to iterate through the previously created names array. Add the link to each one of the names arrays. So the array with the values declared above, and that's what we're creating here. We're initializing an empty array and iterating over each element using the for loop. And then we're going to console.log that. Number 6, write a loop to iterate over the names length array to calculate the sum of all elements in the array. So we are creating an array called names length, creating a variable sum, iterating over the element using the for loop. Sum will now contain all of the elements in the names length, and that's what we're going to print to the console. Number 7, write a function that takes two parameters, word and in, as arguments and returns a word concatenated to itself a number of times. So we're creating a function here, repeat word, and we're using a loop to concatenate to repeat the word X amount of times, and that will print hello 3 times in the console when we check that out. Number 8, write a function that takes two parameters, first name, last name, and returns a full name. The full name should be the first and the last name separated by spaces. So here what we're doing is concatenating the first name and last name by using the plus symbol. And then here these parentheses there, that's what's going to give us the space in the name. And on this example, I did Ross Parker. So that's going to be what prints to the console. Number 9, write a function that takes an array array of numbers and returns true if the sum of all the numbers of the array is greater than 100. So we're initializing a variable to store the sum of the numbers. Let sum equal 0. We're going to iterate through each element and adding values to the sum. We're going to compare that with 100 and return true if it's greater than 100. Otherwise, it's going to be false. And here's you a little example. You can run that in the console. Number 10, write a function that takes an array of numbers and returns the average of all elements in the array. So we're going to initialize the variable sum once again, just like we did up top. We're going to use a for loop to iterate through the each element in the array and add its value. Then we're going to divide that sum by the length of the array to calculate the average. And then that's here, just another example. Number 11, write a function that takes two arrays of numbers, return true if the average element in the first array is greater than the average in the second array. So here it is, the previous declared calculate average function. So we're just invoking that basically, and then we're going to compare that to the average of the two arrays. And here's another example. So the first one would print true, second one would print false. Number 12, write a function called will buy drinks. It takes a Boolean is hot outside and a money in pocket and returns true if money in pocket is greater than 1050. So we're setting the two parameters is hot outside and money in pocket. And basically, we just have an example here. It would print true if you have more. It would print false if you don't. Here, create your own function that solves a problem. In the comments, write why you created it. Here, I just did a simple function. I'm tired. I've been working on this for several hours. So basically, it's just figuring out if the number is even. Function is even, number, and then it returns divided by 2 equal to 0. So console.log is even 4. It's going to print true. Console.log 7 is going to print false. I know these things are timed, so I'm not going to stay here all day, but the mentor is more than welcome to go through it. Starting here, we're going to have, everything is printing to the console as it should. The numbers, the average letters per name, Ross Parker, hello, hello, hello. True, falses, it's giving our average numbers all the way down through there. So hopefully I covered everything. The only thing I'm unsure about, I hope I don't get deducted for, are answer 3 and 4. It just said, how do you access? So I thought by me telling you how to access, that would be sufficient enough. Thank you.